Lisa Marie Gelhaus. Then something happened. Then something happened. Lisa Marie Gelhaus.
If there's one thing that my mother drilled into my head when I was a kid, it was be prepared. And she often quoted Benjamin Franklin, although I recently found out that Benjamin Franklin didn't probably say this, but that doesn't matter. Lisa, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And contest chair, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I did not want to fail. So plan I did. I imagined a brilliant academic career. And I know it's old-fashioned, but I also planned to find the man of my dreams. And sure enough, 2 weeks into my first year at the university, I found him, Patrick. Well, he was kind of like the man of my dreams. Instead of being tall, dark, and handsome, he was short, pale, and adorable. I fell madly in love with him. You see, my plan was taking shape around a real human being. But then something happened. While I was checking off the steps from our friendship to the plan, Patrick disappeared. No emails, no phone calls, no nothing. My 19-year-old self was devastated. What would be of my plan? Now I needed a new plan. Fast forward a few years, I'm now a young marketing manager, and I'm on a plane coming back to Italy where I lived. On the plane next to me, seated 2 seats over, was a Latin lover. Now, my new plan is that I'm going to find my ideal mate. But Italians on airplanes, not ideal mates. So I buried myself in my book. But he kept talking at me. He told me his entire life story. I'm Alessandro. Listen, you're going to Italy, so maybe you speak a little bit of Italian. Why don't you let me hear a bit of your Italian? I promise I won't laugh. Now, I want to try and be polite. So I tried to be nice, but I'm not very good at this. Senti, io faccio comunicazione per vivere. Se non sapessi parlare bene l'italiano, morirei di fame. And with that, he slithered back to his seat like a dog with a tail between his legs. And I went back to my book. But then something happened. My parents have made homemade tortellini. Would you like to come over for dinner tonight? Can you resist homemade tortellini? To make a long story short, I married the guy, and boom, another plan out the window. Now, after these and many other plans went exactly the opposite of what I was expecting, I began to wonder, why is it that I keep making plans anyway? And why is it that when they go differently than what I expect, I get so upset. Now, this is the part of the story where a wise old grandmother, or maybe a Zen master, would come in and tell us this really funny story about how I spent half of my life trying to fit people into my plans. But I didn't have a mentor like that. So I read a lot. And I discovered a few things that might help you too when your plans go out the window. First of all, I discovered it's okay to freak out a little bit. You see, our brains love order, and we make plans because it makes us feel like we're in control. But when those plans go awry, we feel disoriented. Because you see, sometimes our plans collide with the plans of other people. Yeah, they have plans too. And that's when we feel disoriented. We soon discover that we can't change other people. We're going to have to adapt ourselves. So that's what I did. I learned to be adaptable. I learned to take life as it comes, to enjoy and embrace change. So, anybody want to know what happened to the men I loved? After the university, a few years later, Patrick and I reconnected. And as adults, he could finally tell me that he had come out of the closet. I didn't see that coming. But to this day, Patrick is my oldest and dearest friend. And Alessandro, that marriage lasted 15 years. And neither of us ever learned how to make tortellini. You see, your plans sometimes change. And when something happens to your plans, don't worry. Because as the song says, everything works out in the end. Everything works out in the end. Contest chair.